Welcome to Pario Magazine, where I chat with individuals who have a desire to create. Today, I am joined by one of Western Australia's now veteran women's talents, known as the Star Child. She has recently made her international wrestling debut, so her shooting star is officially in flight now. Hence, why we've wanted to sit down and have a chat today. Welcome to Pario Magazine, Stella Nyx.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, like I mentioned, we're here today to chat about your journey in the world of pro wrestling. Before we dive into that, though, do you want to give our audience a brief little intro as to who Stella is away from the wrestling ring?
Um, so still away from the wrestling ring. I am a high school dance teacher. So when I am not wrestling, going to training at night or on the weekends, I'm a high school dance teacher. So I kind of get the best of both worlds there.
Okay, I imagine that comes in pretty handy when you get into the ring then as well.
Yeah, definitely. I was a dancer for my entire life up until I started wrestling. And so a lot of my like physical fitness comes from dancing. And then now I've just had to find a way to translate it into the wrestling world. And it's been really successful so far.
Awesome. Yeah, I've heard that the footwork is generally one of the hardest things for people to get. I imagine that was pretty second nature for you.
Yeah, my footwork was definitely something that I think I've always had down packed, but also a lot of like the rolling and the tumbling. It's second nature to me. I've been doing it since I could walk.
Perfect. So then with the wrestling, when and how did you discover that passion?
So I was getting to kind of the end of my, I guess, like competitive dance career, and I knew that I needed something different to do. I'm not one to kind of sit still. It was through Shane Haste's Twitter that I actually found out about EPW, and I went to a show I think in June or July, and that was my first experience to kind of local pro wrestling. From there, I was kind of like keeping an eye on it, seeing if I could go to like the next show. And then I saw that they had the training school, and I asked if I could go to an open day, and I rocked up, and I've never left.
Oh, so it was all like a quick transition. It wasn't, I'm going to spend a year or two as just a fan. It was straight into getting into the ring.
Yeah, I think part of me always wanted to give wrestling a go. I didn't realize at the time that it was something you could do here in Perth. And when I did, I knew that I just kind of wanted to give it a go. If I failed, I failed. But I knew that I couldn't sit around and kind of have a what if. So there was a chance. I took it, and it's been one of the best decisions of my life.
Right? Was it sort of that competitive spirit that made you want to give wrestling a go?
Um, I think I was like a fan for so long. Like I just loved wrestling, and I loved watching wrestling. And yeah, just again, I knew that I needed something besides dancing to kind of look forward to. And yeah, I've always just, I think it's kind of like the competitiveness against myself of like, I want to do well at this. And I kind of knew that I didn't want to fail at it. So I kind of put everything into being the best wrestler I could be.
Okay. Yeah, and you found a great school to begin with too. Like you couldn't have picked a better place to start, I don't think.
Exactly.
So then looking at the women's wrestling landscape in WA, following the retirement of Amber, you're almost a veteran on the EPW scene now. How does that feel?
It kind of blows my mind how long I've been around wrestling for now. I think this year in October will be 8 years because I started at the end of 2016. And in that time, I don't think I've done a lot, but then I also think I've done some absolutely crazy, insane things. And uh, yeah, I kind of now at the point where like, I want to help other female wrestlers. Like I want to try and keep growing this scene and make it the best it can be.
Yeah, especially I guess especially in WA, there isn't a lot of girls in the scene over there.
Yeah, there's, I mean, I can count the number of girls on my hands. But I think over time, it definitely has, I mean, I can't even, how many, I can't even think right now how many girls we have training at the moment, but it is insane some days how many girls are rocking up to training. Um, it's just incredible to see that growth and see how many more people are wanting to give it a go.
That's awesome. And so you mentioned sort of wanting to help these new younger talents. You've taken on Lizzie Maximus and sort of pulled her under your wing. How have you found assuming that mentor role?
Um, Oh gosh, Lizzie's one of my best friends, and it's been so great to help her kind of reach like her goals. I knew like I just wanted to give it a go and see what happened if I, became a tag team again, and then mentoring my best friend, trying to get her where like she needs to be. I've absolutely enjoyed like that mentor role, and I hope I can continue to do it.
And then reflecting on your wrestling journey, what would you say has been the most difficult part so far?
Look, I think it's definitely the physicality of wrestling, and the number of injuries I've had and having to push through. Again, my normal day job is a dance teacher, and I need to be physically fit for that because I have lots of people relying on me to do my job properly there. But at the same time, I absolutely love wrestling, and I'm always pushing through those injuries at wrestling because there's just nothing else like it. Uh, so I think, yeah, definitely the hardest part about training is getting the motivation to keep going, even when you feel like you've got nothing to kind of look forward to. Uh, and just knowing that, unless you work hard, nothing's going to come your way. So you just have to keep rocking up, keep putting in the work, and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, or when you're like stiff and sore, maybe going to the gym isn't the most pleasant of experiences.
Yes, I definitely have felt that sometimes. But I've been training with Progress 365 with Marcus Pitt now for 4 years. So he definitely keeps me on track with going to the gym, and just helping him. He's helped me so much to become so much physically stronger. Uh, it's crazy. Like he doesn't like excuses. Very supportive, but I just have to keep going forward.
And I guess the stronger you are, the less likely you are to get injured. Is that the case?
Yeah, definitely. When I first started wrestling, look, I was probably a stick twig. I came from dancing where, like, I wasn't really focused on the gym, more focused on building strength. So I had a lot of injuries. I dislocated my knee quite a few times. I've had like my shoulder go out. I've rolled my ankles. And like touch wood, I've not had any major issues in the past couple of years, besides a few little niggling injuries. And I think I kind of accredit that to a lot of my strength building.
Brilliant. So then, how did you develop the star child Stella Nyx character?
So when I first started training, I used to smile and laugh a lot. It was one of my biggest downfall is that the trainers used to always say, stop laughing, stop smiling, like you need to be more serious and aggressive. And I'm like, it's just in my like natural personality to smile and laugh. So when it came to kind of developing a character, um, I knew I was never going to be this mean, aggressive style brawler. I knew that I kind of liked having fun and liked entertaining. So I kind of went that direction. I also just really liked stars. So when it came to like picking a name and picking a character and things like that, I kind of like the name Stella because it meant star. And then I did some internet researching to find a good last name. And I settled on Nyx because it means star, goddess of the night. So my full name does mean star goddess of the night, which I think is pretty cool. And then just to summarize, it was the star child because at the time I first started wrestling, I was part of a group called the Children. And then again, really obviously, star. And so I just became the star child.
Perfect. And you mentioned sort of always constantly having a smile on your face. Did that make it hard? Has that made it hard throughout your career to kind of venture into the heel side of the wrestling industry?
A little bit. I think I definitely have gotten much better at it over time. I know that when I first started, I just would laugh and smile all the time. There was no changing it. And I think over time, like again, I've been doing this for 7+ years. Like you kind of get used to it, and then yeah, venturing into the heel side now. Um, a lot of practice, but I think I'm definitely having a lot of fun with it.
And then where do you now draw inspiration from for wrestling?
So one of my favorite wrestlers growing up was Rey Mysterio. So someone who was quite small in size. So a lot of like the quickness and the moving around was something that I knew I wanted to do in the wrestling ring. And I think then a lot of my other like inspiration just comes from kind of dancing and like the dance world and thinking about how I can use those movements that I do there and then translate them into wrestling rather than trying to emulate another wrestler. I think I've kind of taken a step back and gone, what can I do and how can I do it differently rather than trying to, yeah, I guess copy my favorite wrestler.
Yeah, that's probably one of the key things that I think a lot of wrestlers maybe have to learn, that what's something you can do to do a move that everybody does, but do it in your own way.
Yeah, and that's been like something I've loved playing around with, taking some of those common moves and then thinking, how can I make this my own?
So we mentioned recently you did your first international wrestling tour visiting Malaysia. How was that experience?
That was incredible. I think there was like 10 days between where I confirmed that I was going to go and then getting on a flight. Maybe even less
Oh,
than that.
wow.
Maybe it was a week. It was a really crazy quick turnaround. And I knew that I just couldn't pass up the opportunity. Like I went straight to my bosses at work and I was like, look, this has come up. I really, really want to go. But it also meant that I had to have a day off work. And so my bosses are super supportive of my wrestling. They love it. They think it's great. And so I just knew I couldn't pass up this opportunity. But I had a week's notice. And look, probably before it, I was in a bit of a slump with wrestling. Like there was nothing, there was no goal directly ahead of me of what I can do. It's just kind of like plodding along. And then this came up and I was like, whoa, like this is super cool. Like I get to wrestle internationally for the first time. Uh, Crazy weekend between getting on a plane, landing, going straight to see the ring, going then to a hotel, then first next morning, 8 a.m., I'm already heading down to the venue, helping set up the ring, wrestling 2 matches. And then finally, I think at, 8 o'clock at night, I finally had some dinner and then went to sleep, woke up at 5 a.m. and came back home. So it was a really whirlwind experience, but absolutely incredible. And I think I came back to Perth with so much more confidence in my wrestling and what I can do.
Do you think that's an issue a lot of wrestlers in Perth have where because you are so isolated, it kind of can feel like I've done everything I possibly can do in wrestling here?
Kind of. I know that personally, like I ticked off quite a lot of things, like wrestling interstate before kind of COVID hit. And I think COVID, when that all happened and we were obviously locked down, there was a lot less motivation to kind of leave WA at the time. Like we couldn't. So I think that kind of stagnated some people's ambitions. But yeah, it is hard. Like in order to kind of go and wrestle somewhere else over East. Like, unless if we're paying our own way, which is common most of the time, you kind of need to make it like a week long experience in order to get the most out of, I guess, paying for your flights and stuff. But again, a lot of us have actual jobs, and it's not as easy to just up and leave. Up and leave Perth. Like when I first did it, I was still at uni, so a bit different. I just lied to some lecturers and said that I was not feeling well, but I was actually going over and doing some wrestling. But yeah, nowadays it's a bit harder to kind of push myself to get there because of my commitments here and at home.
Yeah, you kind of have to come and make it a week of like training or something and then a show and then go home.
Yeah, and I definitely miss that. I did that. I think I've done it a couple of times with PWA, and it's just absolutely incredible to go and experience other training styles, other training schools. Like, it's something I recommend everybody to do. I'm always preaching to people here that if you can, go over east and go and train and go and see what else is out there.
And with you being based in WA, is it now nice to see sort of the Asian wrestling scene really sort of growing and expanding so that you do have those opportunities to go to places like Malaysia and others?
Yeah, definitely. Keeping an eye on it a little bit. We've had a few people from Asia come over and wrestle for like our super camps, and seeing like making those connections, like knowing that I have friends in Malaysia and Singapore now is an incredible. Blows my mind, but that's the way the wrestling world works. When I did go over to Malaysia, one of the other wrestlers who came here for the one of the camps was also in Malaysia at the same time, but for another company. And it was just crazy that two people from two different countries were now in this one other country for wrestling, but for two different companies. So yeah, seeing how that's grown, I think there is some more opportunities over in Southeast Asia now, and I definitely would love to go back there again.
Yeah, that's fantastic that there are other avenues. You don't have to always come over to the east coast of Australia or the US. You guys can kind of just go straight up.
Yeah,
Southeast Asia's right there.
exactly.
So then looking beyond into 2024, what are some of your main goals for wrestling this year?
I think I just want to like short and simple. I just want to keep getting better and better. And at times it can be quite like stagnant because you don't feel like you have shows coming up. But my ultimate goal is to get better and better. I've always said that I really want to be a good Perth pro wrestler. My dreams of leaving Perth and going and wrestling for the rest of my life is not something that I really want to do. I just want to be a really good Perth pro wrestler, and I want to do it for as long as I can. I had the opportunity last year to kind of dabble in a bit of booking and a bit of running a show for our like our trainees, like our brand new um, rookie wrestlers, and that was an incredible opportunity. Like, I can very proudly say that I have done every job there is to do within wrestling. Like, I've refed, I've filmed, I've done some production, I've done booking, I've done wrestling. Like, I've done everything, and I just want to kind of keep doing that and keep, I guess, helping to grow Perth as much as I can.
That's fantastic. I think, yeah, if you can be a good Perth pro wrestler, you are a very good global pro wrestler.
Yeah, the standard here is very, very high. My trainers are absolutely incredible, and um, man, comparing yourself to them some days, like, they're up here and I'm here, but the fact that they're my trainers and that's the level that I like am aspiring to get to just keeps pushing you forward and forward.
So would the EPW tag titles be something that yourself and Lizzie would like to go after at some point?
Yeah, potentially. Hit Squad has them at the moment, and they're absolutely incredible. But I think if me and Lizzie keep working hard, keep making an impact on our showcases, that you don't know what's going to happen in the future.
Alrighty. So finally, where is the best place for people to support you and track your creative journey moving forward?
Definitely on my social media. I think it's at Stella Nyx underscore on everything. On Facebook, it is Stella Nyx, I think, dash pro wrestler. Kind of keeping up to date there. I don't really have any like merch sales or anything like that at the moment, but it's definitely something I want to, look more into the future. But yeah, I just appreciate any support that I can get. It keeps me going, keeps me motivated, knowing that people out there really do care and do want to see me wrestle.
Brilliant. Alrighty. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me and good luck with everything in the rest of this year.
No worries. Thank you very much.